Hey guys, how's it going? I'm Braden McCarthy, Fundera's VP of Strategy. I run Fundera's credit cards team. For those who don't know about Fundera, we are a hub for all small business owners across the US to shop and compare financial products and then find the right one for them. It includes everything from loans and lines of credits to credit cards, checking accounts, savings accounts, and a whole host of other products. So feel free to check us out on www.fundera.com. This is actually our first Instagram live session. We're starting off with credit cards questions. So last week we asked a series of our followers for questions on business credit cards, and I'm actually here to go through answers to each of those questions. So first question we have is from Leslie. And the question is, what's the difference between a personal credit card and a business credit card? Well, thanks, Leslie. Good question. The reality is a business credit card and a personal credit card are kind of two sides of the same coin. They're both credit cards. They're issued by a bank like an American Express, a Chase, a Capital One, or a Bank of America, all names that I'm sure our followers have heard of. It's a plastic card that you get from those banks that you can then swipe at restaurants, at grocery stores, at shops all across the country, and it effectively acts like a loan from that bank that you can either use to finance purchases over the course of months, or use purely for convenience. So you don't have to carry cash in your wallet, and then you just pay it off before the month is over, and you won't pay any interest at all. Next question we have, and I should mention, by the way, if you have questions while you're watching, feel free to add them in, and our team will make sure they get over to me. Next question we have is from Sam, and it is, why are business credit cards important for small businesses to consider? Well, thanks, Sam. But it's a great question. I kind of would go through the pros and cons of business credit cards. The first pro I would say is that your credit card statement makes budgeting and taxes a heck of a lot easier. So imagine when you're coming up to the end of the year, filling out your taxes and trying to work with your accountant, and then separate personal expenses, which of course you can't claim on your business taxes, and business expenses, which of course you can claim on your business taxes. If you've used your personal credit card all throughout the year, it's going to be a heck of a lot harder for you to distinguish those personal expenses from those business expenses, and it's going to make your accountant pretty annoyed. So one big pro of using business credit cards is the ability to kind of separate business expenses from personal expenses. The next piece, I think, is it's just a lot easier for your business than carrying around a big wad of cash. So when you need to go into that home supply store or Office Max, Office Depot to buy office supplies for your business, having to carry around a bunch of cash is just a big nuisance. And it's especially true if you need to give that cash from your business to your employees to go in and buy things on your behalf. So I think cards just make things a little cleaner and a heck of a lot easier than carrying cash around in your wallet. The next pro, I would say, is a little more complicated, but folks who are used to using personal credit cards will know that how you use those personal credit cards has an impact on your personal credit score. Your personal credit score being that FICO that can range anywhere from kind of the mid 300s all the way up to 850. And the same is true for business credit cards. It has an impact not on your personal credit, but on your business credits. And lots of lenders, especially lots of bank lenders, look at business credits when deciding to give you a loan. And if you've never taken out a loan before, if you've never used a business credit card before, you chances are won't have a business credit score. So when you're going to apply for that loan, it'll look as though your business has no credit at all. And so that business credit card can really help build your business credit. So that way when you are ready to apply for a loan, you have a score. There are some cons to consider with business credit cards, just like there are cons for credit cards in general. The first I would mention is that it is debt. It is credit at the end of the day. And one of the phrases I've always liked in reference to credit is credit's like fire. It can either light your house, just the right amount can light your house, too much can burn it down. Point being that you don't want to play around with credit because you got to pay it back. And if you're charging up a bunch of purchases on a credit card that you don't think you can responsibly repay, then you're going to have a big bill at the end that may overburden your business with debt. And that's easier to do with a credit card than it is with cash. Because, of course, with cash, you can't make more of it if you don't have it. Whereas with a credit card, it's easy to forget that you may be spending over what your limit is or over what your monthly revenue is for that month. Next question I have is from Jan, and it is, will card issuers pull my personal credit to see if I qualify? That's a really good question, and to be honest, it's pretty misunderstood by a lot of business owners that we work with. But it's surprising, but yes, most business credit card issuers will want to take a look at your personal credit score. So that's your FICO, that's your Vantage score from the Equifaxes, the Experians, and the TransUnions of the world. They'll want to look at your personal credit score because the reality is, for most business owners, their personal credit and business credit is kind of tightly intertwined. So lots of businesses, for example, are lifestyle businesses, or they're mom and pop shops where they may have one or two employees, but really it's a family and an individual that runs that business every single day. It's oftentimes putting money from their own personal assets into that business. And so issuers will want to look at both your business credit and your personal credit before deciding to give you a business credit card, by and large. Next question we have is also from Leslie. And it is, I don't know how to start looking for business credit cards. Where should I start? Good question, Leslie. Easiest way to do it is to go to www.fundera.com. In our site nav, that's the kind of top bar on the site, we have credit cards called out, and you'll be able to get a lot of content that you can read through at your leisure on the various types of business credit cards that are out there, both from our partners as well as just in general in the markets. And we try to work into our content lots of tips and tricks for business owners to figure out what's the best card for them. And then once they know what's the best card for them, how can they best use that card to maximize the offer from those cards. Next question. Can I use a business credit card for personal expenses, or is it strictly for business? And this is from Katie. Good question, Katie. Generally, I would say you shouldn't use a business credit card for personal expenses. Because if we go back to the kind of the first question, which I think was from Sam or Leslie, around what's the difference between a personal card and a business card, a big difference for a business card is it's meant to help you distinguish business expenses from personal expenses. So if you're putting all your business expenses on a personal card, or if you're putting all your personal expenses on a business card, it's going to be a lot harder for you at the end of the year to understand what's a business expense and what's a personal expense. That makes your life harder, but it also makes your accountant's life a lot harder when it comes to tax season. So generally I would say keep them separate. Don't put personal expenses on a business credit card. Next question we have is from Emily. What kind of credit cards does Fundera offer? Great question. We have credit cards really for every type of borrower, whether it's borrowers with credit scores of kind of excellent and average credit, the kind of 650 plus credit scores, borrowers with kind of mediocre credit, the kind of 550s to 650s, if you will, or borrowers with no credit or bad credit entirely. We have credit cards that run the whole gamut. The next piece I would say, beyond just credit score, we have cards that kind of run the whole gamut of goals that a business owner might have for a credit card. So if you're a business owner who wants to consolidate debts and take advantage of a lower interest rate, there are a ton of balance transfer cards on Fundera. And in fact, again, if you go to fundera.com and you click on the credit card link in our site nav, you'll see a drop down that talks about these various goals like balance transfer. Next question we have is from Cindy. And her question is, what's the best credit card for lowest APR? This is a really good question, and it honestly tends to change. So right now, the American Express Blue for Business Plus which is an update to the original blue card that Amex released several years ago. The update came out in about June or May of this year. Is actually the best card that I've seen in the market right now for low APR. The reason why I say that is because it has 0% intro APR on purchases, that's new purchases, as well as on balance transfers. So that's transferring balances from other cards to this card. 0% intro APR for 15 months. That's actually the longest intro period I've ever seen for a business card. The next longest that's on the market right now is actually 12 months. So you get an extra 3 months with this card. Another piece that I like about it is that it's no fee. So you kind of combine 0% APR on purchases and balance transfers with no fee. It's one of the reasons why we tend to call it the blue jeans of the business credit card world. It's a little cheeky, but we think that every business owner should have a card like this in their wallet. For that time when you might want to finance a purchase or pay down debt from a more expensive card and want to take advantage of that 0% APR. So, next question we have is from Daniel. And his question is, is there a business credit card that is best for business travel? And more specifically, what rewards can I get with that travel rewards card? This is a great question, and just like with 0% APR card I mentioned before, it tends to change. So I can only really speak to what is the case right now. And right now, I tend to think that the Chase Inc. Business Preferred card is actually the best travel rewards card on the market. It's a kind of a hard choice to make, but the reason why I think it is because of the sign-up bonus. So for all those consumers that are out there who got the Chase Reserve credit card when they had a super lucrative sign-up bonus, the Chase Inc. is kind of the sister card in the business world to that Reserve card, and it has a super lucrative sign-up bonus. Right now, it's got an 80,000 point sign-up bonus if you spend $5,000 in the first 3 months. That works out to being about $800 toward travel or cash back. But there's a kicker. If you use those points on Chase's site, the Chase's site is called the Ultimate Reward site, and it's actually powered by Orbitz, a kind of competitor to Travelocity and Expedia. If you use those rewards on Chase's site, you get a 25% bonus. So that $800 looks a lot more like $1,000 to $1,200 that you can redeem for airfare, for hotel stays, and a host of other travel options. So I think it's a great card just for the sign-up bonus, but another good feature of it is the ongoing rewards rate. So for every dollar you spend every dollar you spend of the first $150,000 you put on the card in select categories, you're going to get 3 points. For other spend, it's 2 points, and for everything else, it's 1 point. So I would encourage anyone who's interested in a travel card or the Inc. Preferred specifically to, again, go to Fundera's sites, up in the site nav, and the credit cards drop down, you'll see best for travel, and you'll see our review of the Inc. card as well as all the other travel cards that we have on site, as well as all the other ones that we think are good options that are out there on the market. Next question is from John, and that question is, what's the best cashback credit card? Well, good question, John. This, like I said, for travel and for 0% APR, it varies kind of month to month. But right now, we tend to think the Capital One Spark Cash card is the best cashback card. We like it, one, for its simplicity. So you earn an unlimited 2% cash back on every single purchase you make on the card. The beauty for this card really does lie in its simplicity. You don't have to kind of categorize in your head. Spend on advertising gets X points, and spend on office supplies gets Y points. It's 2% cash back on everything you spend money on. It's also got a really good cashback sign-up offer. So if you sign up and then you're able to spend $4,500 on purchases in the first 3 months from account opening, you're going to get $500 in cash back right away on that card. The last I would just say is it does come with an annual fee. of $95, but that annual fee is waived for the first year. And the way I kind of look at it with these annual fees is you got to compare the annual fee next to the sign-up bonus and next to the ongoing rewards rate. So $95 is waived in the first year, like I said, but that second year it's gonna kick in. So the question you have to ask yourself is, can you hit that sign-up bonus? And if you can, that's $500 in cash back. That's gonna pay for that card for the next 4 or 5 years. And will you spend enough to get those ongoing rewards, that 2% cash back, to pay for that $95 annual fee? Next question we have is also from Emily, and it is, what is the best credit card for a new business owner, for a startup? Great question. We have lots of startups that come to Fundera and have questions around what is the best credit product for them. For credit cards, I tend to think that a low interest rate and ideally a 0% APR card is best for startups and for new businesses, because when you're starting your new business, chances are over the course of that next year, you're going to need to finance a purchase. What I mean by that is you're not making enough money unless your startup is just growing like gangbusters. Chances are you're not making enough money in those first few months to pay for all your business expenses just from the money you're making in your business. Chances are you're going to kind of be in the red for the first few months as you kind of find your footing, get your customer base, and start selling your products. The benefit of a 0% APR card for businesses like that is you can finance a purchase, you can carry it for a series of several months and not pay interest on those purchases during the intro period. So in the case of the American Express Blue Business Plus, that's going to be 0% APR for 15 full months. You will need to make a minimum payment, but the minimum payment will not include interest. And it tends to be anywhere from $10 to the lower $100, depending upon how much you put on that card. So it's not as if you're going to have to pay off the whole amount in quick order. You can carry a balance for several months, and in some cases, like with this blue card, for a full 15 months. Another question we have is from Chris, and Chris's question is, let me just pull it up. Chris's question is, what's the best credit card for building credit? It's a great question. So I'm going to break it out in two pieces. Every business credit card builds credit. It builds your business credit. Most credit card issuers report to business credit bureaus like Equifax and Experian and Dun & Bradstreet. What it comes down to, and I think this is the point of Chris's question, is if you have bad credit or if you have no credit, what is the right credit card for you? And it's a great question, because the reality is if you have a credit score of sub 650, but really sub 620, all of those rewards cards I mentioned, like cashback and travel and 0% APR, aren't going to be available to you yet. Those cards tend to only be for people who have 620 or 650 plus credit scores. So if you have weaker credit or no credit at all, it may seem like you don't have options, but you do. The best option, I think, for someone with average credits, I kind of put those folks in the bucket of 550 credit score to 619 credit score, is actually the Capital One Spark, Classic for business. So it's kind of a sister card to the Spark Cash I mentioned just a few minutes ago. I like it because one, it's unlimited 1% cash back on all purchases, and it's really rare to find a subprime card that has rewards of any kind. They tend to be really vanilla, but this card does, which I think makes it really stand out from the pack. There's also no annual fee, no foreign transaction fees. That's also really rare for subprime cards. They tend to tack on lots of fees because the reality is subprime card issuers tend to be a little riskier. That's not the case for this card. And best of all, for someone with, who has kind of average credit, it will help you build your credit back up. And that's because Capital One is very explicit with this card that it reports to all the major credit bureaus. So you want to rebuild that personal credit, no problem. This card can help you do it with responsible use. You want to just make sure that you meet that minimum payment every single... Great. Sorry, I think we had some technical difficulties there, but we're now back. Those are all the questions that were submitted from before, but we do have some questions that have come through from the audience since we started. So I'm going to kind of tackle those one by one. And again, feel free to ask more questions as we go. So the first question we have is from L. What is your favorite credit card? Yeah, it's a good question. I tend to think of this as it depends on what your goal is. One of my big goals and one of the reasons why I use credit cards is actually not to finance purchases. I tend to pay off my bill every single month. But I don't use a debit card and I don't use cash for my everyday purchases. I still use a credit card. And lots of people look at that and say, like, why are you using a credit card? The whole point of a credit card is that you need to finance purchases every month. But no, actually, there's this concept out there called hackers, or kind of points hoarders. And these people, and I'm definitely one of them, use credit cards instead of cash or debit cards because we want to earn points. And it's actually a really great perk that credit card companies offer because you do not have to carry a balance on your card every single month to get these points. So I'm a big traveler. And because of that, unfortunately, I don't make millions of dollars and I need to find some way of financing a lot of that travel. And so how I try to do is by getting lots of travel rewards points from my credit card providers. I think for any business owner out there who's like me, loves to travel, the Chase Inc. Business Preferred is a phenomenal option. Like I said before, 80,000 bonus points is the sign-up offer. That's the equivalent of at least $800 toward travel, but as much as $1,200 toward travel if you book that travel on Chase's site. It does come with a $95 annual fee, but in my view, that sign-up bonus really counteracts that fee because that's $800 in travel that I can spend that I wouldn't otherwise be able to. And so I think it kind of pays for itself. Next question we have is, what are some good places to look into my personal and business credits? And this is from Leslie. That's a great question, Leslie. There are very few sites out there that help you understand both your business and personal credit simultaneously, but Fundera is one of them. So for all of our existing customers at Fundera, we allow them to both see their business credit as well as their personal credit and then monitor that over time. And we do that for a host of reasons, one of which really is the credit options that you qualify for. Credit cards, lines of credit, loans evolve as your credit card or as your credit scores evolve. So the longer you've had business credit history, the better your personal credit score, the more options you have. We want to make sure that our customers understand that. Most importantly, when they qualify for a cheaper product or when they qualify for more products, they know that, so that way they're fully empowered. And even if they don't want to take one of those products, they at least know they qualify and can act opportunistically, if you will, on those credit options. Let's see here. We have a question. Last question, it looks like, is from Rishi, and it is, what if I'm just selling stuff on an online marketplace like Etsy? Can I get a business credit card? That is a great question, and it's honestly one of the most misunderstood questions from a lot of business owners. So a lot of business owners I talk to will say, I don't have an EIN, I don't have a business tax ID, which is really what an EIN is. So how is it possible that I can get a business credit card? And the reality is credit card companies like Chase and Amex and Cap One, they want to work with startups, they want to work with new businesses, and they want to work with sole proprietors. And so you don't actually need to have an EIN to apply for a business credit card. What you would do instead when working with that credit card provider and filling out that application is put in your social security number in place of your EIN, and you can move forward with your application. Chances are, if you have the right credit score range, you will get approved for that card, even if you don't have employees, even if you don't have an EIN. So anyone selling on Etsy, selling on eBay, if you are a sole prop, you can qualify for business credit cards. Just use your social instead of your EIN. And last question I have is from Chris, and it is, how can I improve my business credit score? That is a great question, Chris. So you can improve your business credit score in a host of ways. I think the most important way to think about your business credit score is to look at it through the prism of a personal credit score. I think a lot of business owners tend to understand what a personal credit score is. But for those who don't, personal credit score is really just a score around your creditworthiness over time. So it factors in things like how many new accounts have you opened, how current are you on those new accounts, what is the overall credit authorization you've been given from various banks and credit card companies that are out there, and most importantly, how much of that credit card authorization are you using? So it tends to be called your utilization rate. Are you using 30% of all credit outstanding, 10%, or 0%? Credit card companies tend to like business owners and individuals that have utilization of sub 30%. So knowing what a personal credit score is, your business credit score is kind of the same. So different companies offer it. Business credit scores tend to be from Equifax, from Dun & Bradstreet, and from Experian, but the reality is the score is kind of marked in the same way. They want to understand, are you current on your business credit accounts? Are you paying your suppliers? Are you paying even things like Verizon, AT&T, Comcast, your utilities bills effectively? All of that will get reported up through your business credit, and it'll provide a holistic picture as to how current are you on your bills. So I would say the number one tip for business owners as to how to improve their business credit really is to pay your bills on time. Make sure you're current, number one. Number two, make sure you get a copy of your business credit. A lot of business owners don't even realize that it exists. But for established businesses, it certainly exists. Even for new businesses that have been around for a year, it can exist. Like I said, for Fundera customers, we provide this free of charge for all of our customers. It's important to understand what that score is and what your credit report looks like for your business, because there may be erroneous or things on it or errors that you want to correct, because you don't want a creditor looking at that business credit report and then dinging you or declining you based on things that have nothing to do with your business, but just happen to be on there because of some error at the credit reporting agencies. Okay, I think that's all we have for today, but we're going to keep doing these on an ongoing basis on different topics. Folks who have any questions on credit cards, feel free to shoot me an email. I'm Brayden@fundera.com. That's BRAYDEN@fundera.com. And stay tuned for the next Instagram live chat.